Welcome back to the Car Grows channel, and today we're gonna do something just a little bit different, not really related to cars, but I'm sure all you guys can appreciate it. Okay, so this is gonna be a super easy recipe for chili that anybody can do at home, and you're not trying to serve people canned chili. Chili is probably one of the main dishes in America that people talk the most crap about. You know, I can't believe this guy put this in his chili or put that in his chili. Get over it, okay? I want every one of you guys that doesn't put beans in your chili to honestly tell me that the cowboys in 1850 were carrying 100-pound bags of beans and they decided not to put beans in the chili. Give me a break. Okay, so here are the ingredients you're gonna need. Chunked beef, cubed, chunked, diced, whatever they call it. Some onions, olive oil, paprika, pepper, chili powder, cumin, Cavender's. That's just kind of a personal preference. You don't have to have that. A can of ranch style beans, a can of refried beans, a can of rotel. It doesn't matter which rotel you get. Get whatever rotel you want, it doesn't matter. A can of Hatch green chilies, and a can of hominy. Chicken stock, you can get that in a can, in a container, in a powder, however you want to do it. And some McCormick chili powder, or you can do off-brand. It really doesn't make a difference. Basically, this packaged stuff right here is all of this already mixed together. We're just doing it to make it easy. Okay, so one thing we're not gonna do is really measure anything because it doesn't matter and it just confuses people and they feel like if they put too much of something in, they've ruined it. It would be really, really hard to ruin chili. The only way I could think that you might ruin chili is to put too much salt in it or too much heat in it. If you like a lot of heat, that's great. I suggest keeping the heat out, serving your chili medium heat, and then if you want more heat in your individual bowl, add some in there. So we're gonna start it off. We got a pan. It's probably 12-inch by, I don't know, 3 tall. We're gonna put our heat on like medium-ish. We're gonna take some of these onions. Again, I don't measure, I just kind of look at it and tell. That's about how much I want in this pan right here. We're gonna take just a little bit of olive oil. You can also use butter, cooking oil, whatever you have that will make oil is fine. We're gonna take a kind of spatula and we're gonna mix this oil up with the onions. The only thing we're doing here is we're trying to keep the onions from sticking, and we're just kind of sauteing a little bit, just kind of soften them up. If you're a person that doesn't like onions, my guess is that you probably don't like raw onions. That is a vastly different taste. It gives you the onion burps. It gives some people heartburn. I don't like raw onions either. Don't be scared to saute up some onions. These don't taste anything like raw onion. In fact, I am gonna guess that you won't even be able to taste the onions. All right, for your spoon, get them stirred up, and then just get a paper towel, throw that dude on there. We're gonna let this come up to temperature, and then we'll go from there. Okay, while those onions are coming up to temp in the pan, I'm gonna get started on the cornbread, which will probably be a second video. So if you like the chili recipe and you're wanting to do cornbread as well, I promise you, my chili, I'm not gonna say I have the best chili, but I definitely have the easiest chili. My cornbread, no one beats me on my cornbread. We got our onions over here. So, I mean, you really don't have to worry about the heat. I mean, obviously you don't want it to burn. This one's going a little hot, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. That was like half power on the stove, like a 5. I just turned it down to like a 3. We just want to get them kind of sauteing. And next, we're going to add our chilies. Now you can also get these in hot. I just got regular, and I also got Hatch brand because I think they taste better. These Hatch chilies, if I am not mistaken, should be from New Mexico, and they're grown in a very specific area. I don't know if that's what makes them taste better or what, but they do taste a little different. So we're gonna put that and the Rotel in. And this is gonna kind of stop the sauteing of the onions. So you don't want to put this in until your onions are looking pretty decent, got a little color in them. Alright, green chili is in. Rotel, I'm using fire roasted. Again, it doesn't matter. Even if you have lime Rotel, throw it in, it doesn't matter. Alright, our chicken stock right here. And what I'm trying to do with this chicken stock is put enough in here where nothing is burning on the bottom of the pan. So you want to keep it pretty liquidy. So that's looking pretty good. Probably a little bit more in there. And it's okay if it's a little soupy at first. We're going to take care of that later with another trick, I know. Okay, so that's what we're looking for right there. And we're going to kind of let this come up to a boil. Alright, we've got the chilies, the Rotel, and the onions in there, just kind of simmering. If yours is bubbling too much, turn it down a little bit. And again, we're trying to keep the ingredients from sticking to the bottom of the pan and burning. So the heat of the pan is what does that. So you want your heat about like that. And we're just going to stir this around for a little bit. And all we're doing is just kind of softening up these vegetables, kind of adding to the aroma. Okay. Next, we're going to start throwing all of our ingredients in. The meat, which, by the way, you can use this. You can use hamburger meat. You can use ground turkey. Whatever you want to put in there is fine. If you're using beef cuts like this or bigger, I would throw them in raw. It seems to taste better and they end up softer. If you're using like ground turkey or ground beef, throw it in a pan and brown it like you're doing taco meat, then add it in there. So let's start throwing this stuff in there. All right, throw the beef in. Be careful, don't let the wrapper go in there. Okay, beef's in. We're gonna throw our hominy in. If you don't know what hominy is, it's literally a vegetable that's super soft and it tastes like corn tortilla chips. I like to throw it in my food because I think it's something unique in my chili that adds a little bit of flavor. If you don't think you're gonna like this, just don't throw it in. Everything else is the same. All right, so hominy's in. Next up, ranch style beans. I like the one with jalapenos. It's not that hot. You can use regular red chili beans. The problem that I found with those is that it comes with this really dark bean juice that's kind of odd. It makes your chili taste weird. If you're gonna use regular chili beans, put them in a what's it called, colander, and rinse them off. Again, this is how to make chili super easy. Ranch style beans already has kind of like a chili flavored sauce, which is really good, and you don't have to worry about rinsing them. These come in a bunch of flavors. There's like onion, regular, jalapeno, whichever one you pick, doesn't matter. I like having beans in my chili. It gives it more of a heartier, kind of more complex taste. If you don't like beans in your chili, whatever, don't add them. Okay, so here's how we're sitting right now. Let's stir all this in, and probably what we're gonna have to do is add some more chicken broth. And I know that might sound weird. You're thinking, well, we're making a dish that has beef in it. Why would you add chicken broth? Let me give you a little tip right now. Chicken broth can literally be added to anything. It gives it a good taste. Beef broth, you better be careful. Because if you put too much in there, it's going to taste like way overpowered. Way overpowered. So I use chicken broth. And we want it pretty soupy at this point. It is going to cook down because I don't use lids normally when I cook. I like to start out soupy and let it reduce down with the heat. And reductions, all that is, it's a fancy word for evaporation. So as this is cooking, this fluid's gonna bake off and it'll be less fluid. But I like to start it pretty wet, and that way I don't have to worry about anything sticking to the bottom of the pan or burning. I mean, you still have to worry about it, but it's not near as bad. All right, so that's what it should look like right there. And I'm just gonna leave this heat on about a 5 and just let it do its thing. It's probably gonna sit here for a couple hours. Go ahead and add your chili pack in there. Again, you can use whichever one you want. Be careful. Some of the chilies are chili packs you can get at the store are really hot. So the basic ingredients in this is what I already have laid out right here. Chili powder, cumin, some pepper, and there's probably some dried garlic and dried onion there, maybe a little salt. There's no shame in using a packed seasoning, especially if you know what's in there. It's just easy. So McCormick brand chili powder seasoning is really good. We're just gonna stir that in. And we want this to kind of start boiling. Again, if you like your chili a little more spicy, if you want to go up to a little bit more mild heat, maybe throw some jalapenos in there. There's a few in the bean can I used. There was a few jalapenos in there. You can throw a little jalapeno in. If you like more heat, you can throw some habanero in. Just be careful. Wear gloves with habaneros and get ready for people to complain it's too spicy. Speaking of the mix, so on chili powder, you would think that's where the chili gets most of its flavor. It's not. It does get some flavor from this, but this is mainly your heat. What you're tasting, the unique taste of chili, is the cumin. So as this starts cooking and it's getting, we're probably going to let this do its thing for a couple hours. We want the beef really tender, so that's going to be your test. If you can scoop out a piece of beef and it chews really nice and soft, you're probably ready to go. Then from there, start adding any extra seasoning you want. You don't have to do that. Literally just a package of the McCormick chili mix is fine. Now, they have 3 different kinds. They have original, which is like medium heat. They have hot, which is obviously hotter. And then they have mild, which is like no heat. I would suggest not doing the mild. It makes it kind of plain tasting. This right here, just the original, tastes good. It's got a little spice, but it's not going to kill anybody. So you just want to come in here about every 10 minutes. It should look about like that. And you want to come in here and stir it. If you start feeling like it's sticking on the bottom, turn your heat down. You don't want to burn it. Sticking a little bit is not hurting anything. Scrape it off. You know what I mean? But just to make things easier, turn your heat down a little bit. Okay, so this is pretty much what it's looked like for the last 30 minutes. I just come in here periodically, give it a stir, and I'm just checking the bottom to make sure nothing's sticking. Again, if it is, turn your heat down a little bit. As you can see, it's still pretty soupy. I add some more chicken stock in here. You want to keep it soupy, and I'll show you why at the end here. Right before I'm done stirring, I go in a tight circle like this, and all I'm doing is pushing some of the heavier items off to the edge. If you're gonna burn, it's most likely gonna happen right here because you got too much thick stuff on top. So anyways, all right, we're just gonna let this sit for another, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, until the meat chews the way we want it to do it. Be careful testing and tasting right now. Your chili will build heat for probably the next day. So as it's cooking, when it's all done and you go to taste it, that's one heat, and then it'll spice up a little bit more when you put it in the fridge overnight. All right, so it's been about maybe about an hour and a half, and I added a little bit of water to it probably about 30 minutes ago. And we've done a good job here. There's been nothing burnt. It tastes good. Now, if you'll notice, this is some pretty liquidy chili, and there's a reason why I did this. It's two parts. One, this keeps you from burning anything. It lets you simmer the chili without worrying about anything sticking to the pan because it's too dry. Second, what it's done is produced a lot of what I want to call the chili gravy, the sauce part, which is really delicious, especially if you're pouring it over cornbread or eating it with chips. Maybe you're going to make it into like a chili cheese dip. Here's the secret though. To make the sauce thicker like traditional chili, what you're going to do is add a scoop of refried beans. And let me show you how this works here. We're going to start off with about probably half the can of refried beans. And we're going to mix this in with the chili, and it doesn't affect the flavor at all. In fact, it might even make it a little richer tasting. But we're going to stir this into our chili, and what you're going to notice is it's going to thicken up quite a bit. Alright, so it's thickened up quite a bit. We want to add a little bit more. I really like a lot of the gravy part. The roux, the gravy, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so it looks like this one's going to take the whole can to get it kind of how I want it. Now you're going to keep the heat on, stir in the refried beans the best you can, and you're going to keep the heat on because we want these beans to really get blended in with the gravy we already had. But as you can tell, it looks quite a bit different now. Now that's a good, nice consistency for a chili right there. So we're going to leave the heat on this for about another 15 minutes, and then it'll be ready to serve. Now, you can eat it just like it is. It is perfectly fine to eat fresh chili right off the stove. And in fact, I encourage you to do so. But be mindful of the fact that chili always tastes better the next day. So if you're wanting to serve chili on a Friday, your best bet is to cook it on a Thursday, let it cool off, throw it in a container and leave it in the fridge overnight, and then reheat that chili up for the next day. Don't ask me why this is, but chili always tastes better after it's been refrigerated. Okay guys, so that's it. This has been the first cooking video from Cargroves. Again, I know this is a car channel, but every car guy I hang out with, we're all big cooks, and I thought some of you guys might appreciate seeing how to do a really good chili, super freaking easy and cheap. I think this chili probably cost $10 to make, maybe, and it's delicious. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.